Bureau. John, of course, is the athletics director at Mississippi State. John, appreciate your time. Tell me about this tweet from the official Mississippi State athletics account yesterday. Mississippi State becomes the first university in the country to implement the Compass NIL platform to aid its student athletes in maximizing and monetizing name, image, and likeness opportunities. What does this mean?
Well, there's several components, one of which, of course, is education, and that's what we are here to do with our student athletes. We want to educate them in the best, options for them. Name, image, and likeness is the new frontier. I'm one of these people. I do believe that the student athlete has a right to go out and to earn money on their own with their skill set, with their own brand. But obviously, we want to help in that process, but do that in a legal way and do it in a very educational way. And we believe that Compass helps us achieve all those goals. They have outstanding software. They have great leadership within their corporation, and they offer a great product to help us help our student athletes.
So is this almost like a portal setup where student athletes can log in and educate themselves? Is it where they are entering information related to maybe an endorsement they get? How does it work?
Yeah, certainly that's one of the parts to it. It's the opportunity for student athletes to get online and get the information they need to be educated, and also, for us to be able to keep up with our student athletes. Certainly if you said to me when I was 18 to 22 years old that I would go out and earn some money, whatever amount of money that is, I would not have had a clue what the tax implications of that are. So everything from, again, working within their brands to being taxed by the federal and state governments, and being able to track and be responsible for what you are earning, all of that is part of this process. And again, we're not too proud to realize that we need help in order to help our kids.
Forgive me for editorializing a little bit with this next question, but from my perspective, it looks like the NCAA at the leadership level has sat on its hands for a really long time and has been painted into a corner. And, we've seen Mark Emmert very publicly say we need Congress to pass something at the national level. And now that it looks like that's not going to pass, all of a sudden the NCAA says, well, we got to do something and we got to get it in place by July 1st. Why has this unfolded in the way that it has? And why has there been so little, reading the tea leaves or looking into the future and being aware of what is coming, whether you want it to or not?
Well, I'm not going to be overly critical of the NCAA. I will say that I think we're a little behind in terms of recognizing that student athletes want to use their own name, image, and likeness. They want to create their own brands. And I think we're a little late to the game with this entire process. How it's going to play out over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you're right. Is there going to be a federal law? Is every state going to have their own laws? If the federal government doesn't step in, it's just, we have so many unanswered questions. This is like the new frontier. I think it's exciting, again, for the student athlete, and I think it's showing some progress. But again, I do think collectively we're a little bit late, and I say we, the membership of the NCAA, which really does represent the entire NCAA, we're probably a little late to the game in terms of, getting ahead of this process.
John, the other hot topic the past few months has been transfers. The NCAA has passed the one-time transfer exemption, but in the SEC, there's still the rule that if you transfer from conference school to conference school, that you have to sit out a year. Do you feel like there's support within the conference, within the athletic directors, to maybe change that rule and allow immediate eligibility for intra-conference transfers?
Well, I think there's really good points on both sides of this issue. Do I believe that student athletes should have the freedom, the rights to change from school to school? Absolutely. I do believe on the other side, though, that the Southeastern Conference is different. There's a reason why our league is so special. And, I think one of the things that has to be addressed is tampering. If young man or young woman goes from school A to school B, even within the framework of the SEC, I am concerned about the high school coach involvement or the summer coach involvement or the fan involvement. I think tampering is a serious thing. It's very difficult to prove tampering, but I think that part has to be worked out, especially in the Southeastern Conference, before you can move toward an all-out transfer rule within the framework of the league.
How do you work that out?
That's the magical question, isn't it? The thing that I do know is we all have so much confidence in Greg Sankey and his staff in the Southeastern Conference, and this is a hot-button topic. We believe we have the best league in America, and we want it to stay the best league in America, and we want to avoid controversy, and we want to avoid attacking each other. We want this to be a collective family under the umbrella of the Southeastern Conference. It's going to be a challenge. We're not going to make everybody happy, and there is not a perfect solution to this issue. But certainly I do believe that student athletes should have the ability to transfer if, they want to be in a situation that might be a better fit.
John, one of the things that is incredibly important to people in the state of Mississippi is being able to watch their teams play in person, especially in the postseason. We've talked to people, whether it's Kendall Rogers or Aaron Fitt or those other guys, who keep telling us that there's going to be this wink, nod, nudge agreement with regard to postseason attendance, even though there's going to be a 50% cap. And that the oversight or the rules related to 50% of what are going to be, I don't know if lax is the right word. What can you tell us about how that process is going to play out as we get to postseason baseball?
Yeah, certainly. When our stadium was created, our great architects at Burr Allen, they created a capacity for our stadium when we built ours. And we're going to go with that number, and we're going to go with 50% of that capacity number. So, people really smarter than John Cohen, these architects who know what our capacity was, we're going to go with that number. And, I don't spend a ton of time analyzing the rules that are put in front of us. I just know that we have to abide by them, and that's exactly what we're going to do here at Mississippi State.
What would happen if a school didn't? If they had a capacity of just like randomly, and I ask that because I've seen different tournament directors through the years. Some are just like strict by the book. If it says A in the manual, then A is the only answer. And then some are a little bit more laid back, like, whatever, do your thing.
Well, it's kind of like the umpire, right? You have to adjust to the umpire you have on that day. When I was coaching, I never ever said, "Hey, don't come back to this dugout and tell me it was a strike or a ball. Tell me if that was a strike or a ball for this umpire on this day." And that's the way it works. And when you're given a set of rules, and you have a site coordinator and an NCAA regional or super regional, you're going to go by what they say. I think there are times when they're given a little bit more room to make decisions on their own. When you're hosting events like this, there's always some gray, and you just got to listen to those site coordinators and do what they want you to do.
Just to be clear, are schools, do you think, free to use whatever the capacity listed on Wikipedia is, or does it have to be a more official document than that?
Yeah, I'd love to know who inserted that number, right? That's a really interesting number that I wish our stadium could hold as many as Wikipedia says it does.
Yeah. If we do an IP trace, is that going to go back to your office, John?
Hey, you are free to do that because I know it will not come back to my office.
Hey, last thing, in terms of, obviously Mississippi State's in great shape, not only to be a regional host, but a national seed. Is there an opportunity for any temporary seeding with the way the ballpark is constructed now?
Yes. To answer your question, yes, there is an opportunity for that. But I don't think we're going to get there because of the 50% mark. The 50% mark, I think, is going to allow us to kind of keep it the way it is. But I think in the future we might be looking at that type of concept.
We hit on a bunch of stuff. Great information, John. Always appreciate your time. We'll talk to you soon.